In this video, I will be going over what my opinions are of all the brand new 2018 600cc Super Sport bikes are, and at the end of this video, I'll be ranking them in order from worst to best. Now this is going to be a simply my opinions video. Just because I slot something at the worst spot doesn't mean it's the worst bike, it's just the bike that I would be least likely to buy. It's also worth noting that I've seen a lot of these bikes in person and I've sat on all of them. I haven't ridden any of them though. We will be discussing the following bikes: Honda CBR 600RR, Kawasaki Ninja ZX6R, Suzuki GSX-R 600, Yamaha YZF R6. Also a quick note, the reason why I haven't included the Triumph Daytona 675R is for several reasons, but mainly because it's been discontinued for 2018. Also, it's way more expensive, and because of its unique engine design, we are not really comparing apples to apples. So without further ado, let's get started. Starting out is the Honda CBR 600RR. In 2013, Honda redesigned the CBR 600RR. They added brand new bodywork, 8-spoke wheels, and Showa big piston forks. Along with some ECU tweaks, the CBR has optional combined braking ABS system, which adds 24 pounds of weight and a $1,000 price tag. Honda has marketed the CBR as the everyday bike, a bike that you can buy and ride and do it all. It's a very ergonomically friendly bike for around town but could still fly around the racetrack. The CBR is the only available super sport with an undertail exhaust, a fuel gauge, and a plastic tank cover. Next up is the Kawasaki Ninja ZX6R. In 2013, Kawasaki brought back the Ninja 636. Unlike the rest of the 600s, the 636 had an extra 37 cc's. Those extra 37 cc's may not sound like a lot, but they definitely make a decent bump up in performance, and as you'll see later in this video, they do give the Ninja an unfair advantage. Now the Ninja is a fantastic bike in more ways than just the engine. It has a 3-stage traction control system, a slipper clutch, optional ABS, Showa piston forks, a clean dashboard with a gear indicator, shift light, digital speedometer, and analog tachometer. Besides needing a bit of a refresh of features and maybe being a bit on the heavier side, the ZX6R really has no cons in my mind. It's overall just a great bike. Next is the Suzuki GSX-R 600. I'm going to pretend that the GSX-R 750 doesn't exist, because if I was going to buy a GSX-R 600, then no matter what, I would pony up the extra $1,100 and get the much faster GSX-R 750, with its only downfalls being the extra 7 pounds of curb weight and slight price difference. It would be an easy choice. But we are looking at the GSX-R 600, and the GSX-R is a very worthy competitor on its own. It is the cheapest of all the bikes we are comparing today. It also has the small seat height, which makes it a very approachable bike. It makes the most horsepower and torque out of all the bikes here that are actually 600cc's. It has Brembo brakes in the front and Showa big piston forks. Unfortunately though, the GSX-R does not have optional ABS. Finally, we have the Yamaha YZF R6. In 2017, Yamaha majorly overhauled the R6 for the first time since 2006. It may have had the same engine as the older models, but everything else was completely different. Some notable features I do like is it has an aluminum fuel tank. It is the only Supersport to come standard with ABS and traction control. Also, the new R6 is the lightest and cheapest 600 available that is offered in ABS. The R6 has a gear indicator, a shift light, an analog tachometer, and digital speedometer. It has a high revving 16,000 RPM redline. The R6 is easily considered the perfect track weapon. It is probably the most track friendly of all the 600s. However, that is also the downfall of the R6. The R6 has a 33.5-inch seat height, making this one of the tallest 600s available. In fact, the R6 is even taller than most of the leader bikes you can buy. The clip-ons are by far the most aggressive, and the seat is the hardest, making the R6 the most uncomfortable 600cc sport bike you can buy. Not only that, but the R6 engine has the most exaggerated power band of all the 600s, making the least amount of low-end power until the very top end where it finally catches up, meaning you won't have much power below 8,000 RPM, which is where you will spend most of your time on the streets. The 12-year-old engine is definitely showing its age, and it's very unfortunate that Yamaha didn't redesign the engine. Although I guess we should be thankful we got a redesign at all given the state of the 600cc class. So now that we have a general overview of these bikes, I'm going to rank them on which ones I would buy if I was going to buy a bike. This is just my opinion, and I would love to know what your rankings are in the comments below, and hopefully we can all have a civilized discussion. I decided to rank these bikes in 5 different categories. Each bike will be given a rank from 1st to 4th. Each rank gives the bike 1 point. So if the bike comes in 1st place in a category, it gets 4 points. If it gets in last place, it gets 1 point. The first category will be the power to weight ratio and torque. The second category will be ergonomics. The third category is going to be my personal opinion on which one I do think looks the best. The fourth category is going to be unique features and options. And the last category will be the value of the bike. So starting with power to weight ratio, we are going by brake horsepower and the non-ABS model's weights. In 4th place, we have the R6, which has a 3.59 pounds to horsepower ratio and only 45.5 foot-pound of torque. In 3rd place, we have the CBR 600RR, which has a 3.47 pounds to horsepower ratio and 48.6 foot-pound of torque. In 2nd place, we have the GSXR 600, which has a 3.29 pounds to horsepower ratio and 49.9 foot-pound of torque. And in 1st place, we have the Ninja ZX6R, coming in with a 3.26 pounds to horsepower ratio and a 52.4 foot-pound of torque. Given the Ninja's extra 37 cc's of displacement, it should come to no surprise that it is the winner. Also, just a little cliff note here, I want to point out that I have no idea what the non-ABS version of the Ninja's curb weight is. I couldn't figure it out. Also, the R6 doesn't have a non-ABS model, giving it an unfair disadvantage. Now for our second category, we will look at ergonomics and which bike would suit me better. This is based off of my specific body dimensions and what kind of riding I prefer, which is the street. I'm 5'8" and 170 pounds. I also want to reiterate that although I haven't ridden any of these bikes, I have sat on all of them, and so I have a good idea on which bike is comfortable and which bike isn't. So in 4th place is the Yamaha R6. Giving its tall 33.5-inch seat height and super aggressive ergonomics, hard seat, and peaky power band, it is a terrible bike for a short street rider like myself. In 3rd place is the Kawasaki Ninja ZX6R. The seat is much more manageable at 32.7 inches, however it's still pretty tall. Also, the rest of the ergos are on the more aggressive side as well. At first I thought the 636 power band would be more street friendly than the other 600s out there, but to my surprise it actually doesn't make much more low end power than the other bikes. It's mainly on the top end where you see that advantage. Coming into 2nd place was the CBR 600RR. It was a tough choice between the GSXR and the CBR, but both bikes are very comfortable for myself and have friendly ergos. The GSXR gets 1st place thanks to its slightly lower seat height and extra power and torque down low, making this bike an overall better street bike. The next category is styling. In 4th place is the GSXR 600. I'm sorry Suzuki, but the big bulbous headlight has never looked good to me. I wished you would have kept the design from the 2008 GSXR 600 because in my opinion that's one of the best looking sport bikes ever made. In 3rd place is the CBR 600RR. I hate what Honda has done with the CBR lineup. This Neanderthal looking front end has always looked bad in my opinion, and it's a shame because my 2008 CBR looks amazing. Also, the CBR just looks wide and heavy, even though it isn't. It does get some style points for the undertail exhaust though. In 2nd place is the Yamaha R6. I'm not a big fan of the updates in the R6 as well, but overall it looks better than the CBR and GSXR, especially from the side and back it looks amazing. The front end has been growing on me as well, but I still think the older generation looked better. And in 1st place we have the Kawasaki Ninja ZX6R. This bike is beautiful, I love the design elements, I like how it just looks like a sport bike and nothing else. So with a quick halftime report on who's in 1st place, we have the ZX6R leading with 10 points. Then followed by the GSXR, which has 8 points, then the CBR, which has 7 points, and finally the R6, which has 5 points. Things definitely are not looking good for the Yamaha, but let's see if Yamaha can pull off the upset, or at least not come in dead last. So now that we're back from our halftime report, we will be moving into unique features and options. In 4th place is the Honda CBR 600RR. The new Honda uses the same technology from 2009. It does have optional combined ABS and a fuel gauge, which is nice, but it falls short just about everywhere else. There's no gear indicator, shift light, power modes, traction control, or even any real trunk space. The CBR is just overall a not well featured bike. In third place is the Suzuki GSX-R 600. With no optional ABS or traction control, it really hurts Suzuki's chances of scoring higher. However, the GSX-R does have a gear indicator, shift light, and power modes, which allow you to switch between road or track and customizable mode. It also has a built-in lap timer and a programmable engine RPM indicator. In second place is the Kawasaki Ninja ZX-6R. The Ninja has traction control, ABS brakes, and a slipper clutch, along with a built-in gear indicator and shift light. However, there is no fuel gauge or adjustable power modes, and although it does have traction control, it only has 3 different modes, which is half as much as our next bike. And in first place, our winner, finally the R6. The Yamaha R6 is the only 600 to have LED headlights and LED turn signals, along with a fully aluminum tank, standard ABS, and an adjustable 6-mode traction control system, with the option to turn it off completely. The R6 has rider modes to change the characteristics of the bike. Also, the R6 has a built-in gear indicator and shift light. There may be no fuel gauge in the R6, but there is a fuel economy calculator and a miles on reserve function to help manage your fuel. Now let's move on to our last category, and that is value. Value is not going just by the cheapest MSRP, but also what you get for your money. So let's get started. In fourth place is the Honda CBR 600RR. Coming in at $11,799 for the non-ABS model, the CBR gets last place for having the same restricted engine from 2009 and overall a horrible redesign in 2013, which only made it look uglier with no real updated features, not even an updated dashboard. For your money, you are getting a worse bike than what was around in 2008, so you're better off saving your money and finding a used 2008 CBR like I did. Honda, you really need to redesign the bike. The engine is fine, but it desperately needs features, such as traction control would be nice, and a whole redesign of the fairings again to make it look better. Along with a gear indicator and shift light, the fuel gauge is nice, but it's not enough to pull this bike out of last place. In third place is the Suzuki GSX-R 600. I wanted to give Suzuki second place thanks to its super cheap MSRP of $11,299. However, the GSX-R does not have many features, and even though the engine is amazing, it's hard to give up a different bike though, like the Ninja, which only costs an extra $700, and you get traction control. The GSX-R has good value though, and I think it is extremely well priced by Suzuki. In second place is the Kawasaki Ninja ZX-6R. The Ninja is packed full of features, and at $11,999 for the non-ABS model, it is a bargain and worth the extra money to get this over the CBR and GSX-R. And in first place is the Yamaha R6, coming in at $12,199. It may not be the cheapest model, but it is the cheapest model with ABS. Its traction control system is very advanced, and you do get many features with the bike, so it's really hard to make an argument that you are not getting your money's worth. So that concludes our ranking system. Now let's get on to who the winner and losers are. In last place, scoring only 9 points, is the Honda CBR 600RR. Its old technology and ugly looks are enough to keep me from ever wanting this bike. The ergos, fuel gauge, undertail exhaust, and plastic fuel tank cover are nice features, but not enough to keep this bike competitive. Honda, you have a lot of work to do on your CBR 600RR. In third place, scoring 12 points, is the Suzuki GSX-R 600. Now I'm going to go back to the GSX-R later because I'm not finished with it, but the GSX-R needs a redesign badly. It needs to be restylized like the 08 model, and have traction control and optional ABS, then it would be on my number 1 list. Unfortunately, Suzuki has gotten complacent with the GSX-R, and that is their undoing. It's really too bad the bodywork and features are letting down such an awesome engine. Now someone who hasn't gotten complacent is our second place winner, and that is Yamaha R6. Just barely edging out the GSX-R by 1 point, the R6 scored a 13. Yes, the Yamaha is tall and uncomfortable, but that's the point of a supersport motorcycle, to be a trek bike with lights. The R6 is fully loaded with many features, and although the looks may have slightly degraded from the previous generation, it's still a handsome looking bike, and I give the Yamaha all the credit in the world. They took the dying 600 class and actually invested R&D into it, and that deserves recognition. Yamaha, you earned this number 2 spot. And finally, in first place, the undisputed winner, the Kawasaki Ninja ZX-6R. The Ninja cheats, we know this with its extra 37ccs, which allows it to edge out the competition in speed and power categories. However, it's not just the fastest bike, it's also the best looking. Along with that, it has plenty of features, and it's not the most uncomfortable bike here. It's the best all-around motorcycle, and the value you get on the Ninja is great. The Kawasaki Ninja ZX-6R wins the shootout by scoring a massive 16 points. That is 3 points over the Yamaha, 4 points over the Suzuki, and 7 points over the Honda. Congratulations Kawasaki, you made a fantastic motorcycle, and I don't care if you cheated. If I was buying a brand new 600 today, your bike would be my first choice. So if you guys enjoyed this video, then make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. If you want me to make a similar video to this, but a different category of bikes, like say 1000cc sport bikes, naked bikes, dirt bikes, etc., then let me know in the comments below. Oh, okay. So I said I would get back to the GSX-R 600, and I am. If I had 13 grand to buy a new bike, I wouldn't buy the Kawasaki or the Yamaha. I would buy the Suzuki. But not the GSX-R 600, but the GSX-R 750. At a price of $12,399, it is cheaper than the Kawasaki ABS model, and it's only $200 more than the R6. It may not have traction control or ABS, which kinda sucks, but you don't really need those on a bike that size. So the real winner here is Suzuki. Oh man, I can't wait for the Suzuki fanboy comments to hit. I better run. Alright guys, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Take care, and bye bye.